My name is William Christopher Willbanks, and I'm a creative director. I was raised here in Mississippi, particularly Senatobia, and now I live in the greater Chicago area for about the past 16 years. Okay. So I went to high school and junior high in Senatobia. They had a gifted arts program which you had to try out at the end of 5th grade. I actually lucked up and made it, so I was able to start in 6th grade, and that exposed me to a lot of different types of art that I would have never gotten to try before, I don't think, or at least for a while. From there, I went to Northwest Community College, got a Fine Arts Associates in Fine Arts, and then a few years later I went back to school and got my bachelor's in visual communications.
How did you get into art?
I was born into it. I basically been drawing and loving art of one form or fashion throughout my entire life. Most of my explorations to this point have been drawing, pen and ink, painting, pottery, airbrush work. So I started doing airbrush work, got my first opportunity to do that I worked for a tree service company at the time, and the owner needed logos put onto his trucks, and he did not want to do magnets because they got knocked off and he would lose them all the time. So he bought me an airbrush and had me paint them on the trucks for his fleet. So that was my first instance of getting paid to do art for a large part. And then that progressed into mural work and pretty much everything else.
What kind of murals did you do?
Just large wall paintings. Did one for a local pool hall. The neat thing with that one is when they tore the pool hall down, they actually cut the wall out for the painting and saved it, so that's sitting at somebody's house still. And then I also did some work in Beale Street, doing murals on Beale Street, so in Memphis, Tennessee. The ones on Beale Street essentially amounted to I was a bartender for a little while, and we didn't have much business, so we had to do something, and the owner decided, hey, why don't you paint my walls for me? And said, whatever you want to paint. So I sketched a few things out and started doing murals. And that kind of just picked up and kept going. Decided I wanted to get out of bartending and start doing graphic arts. So I started exploring that and got a job at an agency in Memphis, Tennessee. That was a really big eye-opener for how things worked out, and just kind of kept going from there. So I'm a creative director right now for a company called WEX. At this point, I work with an international team in I think 17 different countries. And we do everything from basic design, social campaigns, video work, you pretty much name it, and we're doing it. So I got hired through acquisition at the current company I am. The company I was at before I was hired to get them ready to sell. It was a smaller benefits company. And when I say smaller, we were about 300 people at that time. And they were trying to get it ready to sell to a larger company at that point. We were very successful, so we got our brand work done, really kind of defined who we were as a company, really kind of set the vision and the execution and told the same story essentially from everybody. And we got acquired, and then WEX decided to keep me on because they enjoyed the work that I did. And I've gotten to make a big impact on the current creative system and teams with WEX, and just steadily building more and more and building a stronger team.
Do you still create personal work?
Not as much as I probably should, but I have recently started getting back into it. I kind of took a break from it for quite some time, but I am steadily moving back into the pen and ink side of things a little bit more. Illustration, I do enjoy that one, but more of my time at the moment is directed towards fencing, Olympic fencing, when I'm not doing work. It cuts my brain off and makes me have to stop thinking about creative in the ways that I would normally think. The ability to cut that off and think about something else for a little while, then be able to cut it back on and go back to it, has been a really important piece. It really kind of helps to unlock things when you get stuck a lot of times. And it's also just take a break from art. I've tried a few things here and there over time. Fencing has kind of been that one that even when I'm getting my tail handed to me, I'm still enjoying it. I'm still laughing about it, even when I don't really want to do it sometimes, because once I start, I'm all in. It has really helped to focus in a lot of ways. And then also helped me to develop the skills to kind of disengage particular parts of my brain and really focus them in a different way. That comes out positive things, especially for ideation and such for me, because then it allows me to cut off the active side, let it kind of churn in the background, and then when I come out of it, it's like, oh, I've got an idea now. Doesn't always work that way, but it has a tendency of working more often than not for me.
What advice do you have for any emerging artists?
Keep learning. You're always learning. If you're not learning, you need to reevaluate where you are and keep going. And try and get yourself on what excites you to learn. You want to learn, keep learning. If you're not learning, you're sitting still and somebody else is passing you by. Do the best that you can do on everything. Understand that it may not go your way. Pitch it. If they say no, okay. And try to make it the best you can. Try to remain passionate about it and follow that curiosity.